Well, it's been a while since I made one of these videos. What's up everybody and welcome back to a brand new Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links leak video. And in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links leak video, I'm actually going to be talking about a bunch of leaks for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links that was added into the game at the release of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Darkside Dimensions World for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. And I just didn't get the opportunity nor made the time to basically talk about these leaks and whatnot. And since I literally have no ideas for content at the moment, I was like, you know what? Might as well do a leak video, kind of catch myself back up. There's actually going to be an update coming very soon. By the time you're watching this video, the update might already be here, so there's probably going to be more leaks coming very soon onto my YouTube channel. So shameless plug, be sure to subscribe so you get notified when I make more leak videos and all that jazz right there. And yeah, so that's kind of the point of today's video. I'm just going to talk about some old leaks and whatnot. If you heard about these leaks before, I'm not surprised, but I still hope you guys watch the video and enjoy it. If you guys do or have never heard of any of these leaks and whatnot, well, hope you guys are in for a treat, because we got some spicy leaks to talk about, and you better know that I messed up that sentence because we out here being good content creators. Let's get it. But yeah, gonna be it for me. Let's get into today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video, and I'll go see you guys in the leaks. Let's go. So when it comes to today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links leak video, I'm gonna be talking about a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links Darkside Dimension world skills for, you know, potential Darkside Dimensions characters that are gonna be getting in the future of the game, like SERA and Agami and whatnot. So there's gonna be a couple skills related to cubics that I'm gonna be talking about in today's video. I'm also gonna be talking about some skills related to the Turbo Duel PvP event that we're gonna be getting later in this month, or just specifically just speed duel or turbo duel skills that we're going to be getting in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. And last but not least, we're going to be talking about Darkside Rex Goodwin and talk about all the cool stuff that he is related with when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. So when it comes to all of these leaks though, I'm just going to give you guys just a warning right here. This is literally my first impressions on all of these like skills and whatnot. So I might do an oopsie, I might say something wrong or whatnot, because this is literally my first impressions on the skills, just kind of how I like to do things on my channel, etc, etc. So there's that right there, and without further ado, let's get into it. So this skill is 8800 pulse attack. You only can use this skill if you control a level 4 monster which has the same attack defense value. Until the end of the turn, make its attack 8800. Your opponent cannot get damaged this turn. You only can use this skill once per duel, and I gotta say that this skill is just crazy good. So clearly this is a reference towards the cubic monsters, because the cubic monsters that I know of that are 4-star cubic monsters all have the same attack and defense value. Like for example, the farmable cubic card that you can get from Unknown Duelist has 1600 attack and defense, so automatically this is clearly a skill and a reference towards the cubic monsters. And another really cool thing about this skill is the fact that so far, from what I can tell with this skill, you can actually use this with any level 4 monster as long as it has the same attack and defense value. So there might be a card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links that we just don't know of that can work well with a deck and combo well with this skill, that you can use this skill to temporarily boost one of your level 4 monsters that has the same attack and defense value to 8800 attack and swing over pretty much any single monster. Like literally, it does not matter what, you know, trap cards. Like if your opponent has like a wall disruption or something, will it really matter? No, that's 8800 attack right there. It's an insane amount of attack right there, and you can pretty much like literally can get over any monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links with this skill. So that's pretty crazy right there too. Luckily, you can't get damaged. Your opponent cannot get damaged from this skill, so you don't have to worry about that. That would have been just stupid if this skill was available where it dealt damage. Like that would have been literally ridiculous. But it's a really cool skill, and I think it could definitely see play because you have an opportunity to get one of your level 4 monsters and swing over one of your opponent's big boss monsters and hopefully secure the win, which is really cool. So yeah, I like the skill. It's pretty cool. Next up, we're going to take a look at the skill called Alignment Wave. If you control one or more monsters with the same attack and defense value, increase it by 300 till the end of this turn. You only can use this skill once per turn. So clearly this is a reference to cubics. From what I could tell, with all the cubic monsters, they have the same attack and defense. So yeah, it's basically kind of like their version or their specific version of like Beat Down, Tides to Bind, etc, etc. Still kind of at the same time though, I feel like maybe Tides to Bind would be better in some cases. Maybe not, but still, this is kind of a boost skill for cubics, so good for you, cubics. You can have your attack and defense value increased by 300 until the end of the turn, which I guess is good, especially if you have like a single cubic monster. So I guess if you're going to play a cubic deck, you might want to run this over, you know, Tides to Bind, because with Tides to Bind, it only gives you all 100 attack times the amount of monsters in the field on your side of the field, while Alignment Wave will just give you the 300 for your monster that's the same attack and defense value. So pretty cool right there. A lot of really cool skills that worked for both cubics and then maybe some potential other cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links that have the same attack and defense value, which is very nice. Next up, we have another skill called the Closed Door. This turn, if a cubic monster is destroyed by battle, it returns to the bottom of its owner's deck. You can use this skill once per duel. Yeah, when it comes to my first impressions with this skill, I really can't say anything about this skill because I'm just not familiar with cubics at all. A lot of you guys that, comment on my leak videos, feel free to kind of explain why this skill is somewhat useful for cubics. You guys feel free to explain that in the comment section down below if you want to. It's fun to get some discussion going, so there's that right there. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the Prana's Mind, or Prana's Mind, however you pronounce her name. And by the way, this is the name, the actual name of the unknown duelist, if you didn't already. Anyways, though, you can send all of your opponent's banished cards to another dimension. You can use the skill once per duel. That's a very interesting translation. Okay, that is a very interesting translation. I don't know what it specifically means because it says to another dimension. Does this mean that you can literally just delete the cards? Like, is that what it means? Like, this skill deletes the cards themselves? Or does it mean that it, like, I don't know, returns back to the graveyard or something? I think if it did return back to the graveyard, it would specifically say the graveyard, but maybe this is a way to, like, literally delete banished cards. Because but way back in the day in Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG's history, banished cards was, like, straight up getting removed from the game. That's why they used to call it removed from the game, but then of course over time they added combos and decks that utilized the banish zone and whatnot, so the thought of having the banish zone of being removed from the game kind of, just became the banish zone, like a second graveyard that certain decks use. But if this skill reads as it reads from this like translation or whatever that says it just sends it to another dimension, that would be actually pretty crazy. Like, that would be like a unique concept that, in a sense, I mean, still, TCG could do something like this if they really wanted to, or whatnot, but still kind of like a concept that could probably work pretty well in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you just straight up just remove the card, like it's just gone from the game, you can't do anything about it, so, I don't know, that's an interesting translation, so there it is. Next skill we're going to be taking a look at is this skill called Cubification. You can use this skill by showing to your opponent 3 cubic monsters from your hand. Put 1 cubic monster on one face-up monster opponent controls. That monster can attack and has its effect negated. In order to activate the skill, your deck and extra deck monsters have to be all cubic monsters. You only can use this skill once per turn and twice per duel. This is an extremely interesting skill. So the hard part in some cases is going to be having 3 cubic monsters in your hand, but it doesn't specify the need 3 different cubic monsters in your hand. So if you just have 3 any type of cubic monsters in hand, you can activate this skill where you can put a cubic counter on a face of monster opponent controls, and that monster cannot attack and has its effect negated, which is actually really good if you think about it, because since you're activating this skill and using the cubic monsters from your hand, one, since it is a skill, your opponent cannot react to it with their own cards, and basically what you can do is you can basically lock down what your opponent's about to do and then go into your cubic plays, because you can negate one of your opponent's monster, it cannot attack, and it has its effect negated. So for example, if you need to activate a like spell or trap card to get your combo going against like a, a Shien, you can literally activate Cubification, negate the Shien cannot activate its abilities anymore, and then you can go into your cubic plays. So this is actually a crazy good skill, and I'm not surprised in the slightest that the only way you can use this skill is only with cubics. It would actually be broken if there's an exploit in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links where you can like play a hybrid deck of both cubics and something else and then utilize the skill, but clearly you need to have all cubic monsters in your extra deck and deck in order to utilize the skill correctly, because honestly the skill is just stupid broken if it was like more generic. So super cool skill for cubics. Luckily this is not going to be usable in any other decks, because if that was, it would be like literally insane and so annoying to deal with, that is for sure. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at a skill called Cubic Seed. Start your duel with 3 whatever that word is, the cubic seed in your deck. In order to activate the skill, your deck and extra deck monsters have to all be cubic monsters. And if we take a look at this card, which is a card that Agami used in the Darkside Dimensions movie, this is a card called whatever that word is, the Cubic Spawn. So this card is a level 1 Dark Fiend effect monster. It cannot be destroyed by battle. At the end of the damage step, if this card bound an opponent's monster, you can place this card from the monster zone to your spell trap card zone as a face-up continuous spell card, and if you do, place 1 cubic counter on that opponent's monster. Monsters with cubic counters cannot attack. Also, their effects are gated, which is a reference, or the skill that we talked about earlier is a reference to the cubics, which is pretty cool. While this card is treated as a continuous spell card by this card's effect, you can special summon this card. So that's actually really cool. So you can kind of do like some recycling with this, and also since you have a bunch of these cubic spawns in your deck, you can kind of like use these as like tribute fodder for later in the duel or whatnot, which is really interesting. So that's actually super interesting that we're going to be getting this card through a method like that. I doubt we're going to be getting this card as like an attainable card and only available through the skill, because since you're going to be doing it through the skill, you're going to be rocking a minimum deck of 20 cards. going to be forced to activate or add 3 copies of this card to your deck, making it 23 cards, and kind of go from there. But it would be interesting if we got like 1 or 2 copies of this from Flip Rewards from either SERA or from Agami in the Darkside Dimensions world. But yeah, that's an interesting card and an interesting skill. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at a skill called Dimension Summon, which I actually like the name. Summon 1 level 4 or lower cubic monster from your hand. The attack of that monster becomes its level times 500. If the monster gets destroyed, you can receive damage, or not you can, you receive damage equal to its level times 500. In order to activate the skill, your deck and extra deck monsters have to all be cubic monsters, and you only can use the skill once per turn and twice per duel. So this is just a summon, so it's basically a special summon right here, so you can get a cubic monster on the field to kind of go for its combos right there. And the attack of this card's level becomes times 500, which is actually kind of interesting because potentially this is going to not allow you to use some other cards and skills, because the cubic monster that you summon through the skill is going to have a different attack and a different defense, so you can't really combo this with some of the other skills and whatnot. But then again, since you're using the Dimension Summon anyways, you don't need to worry about that. But if there's any like cubic monster effects that have like you need the same attack and defense or whatnot to utilize some of your other cubic cards, you won't be able to trigger it through Dimension Summon. But of course, like the other skills that we talked about won't work because you can't run 2 skills in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. You know what it is. But yeah, there's that right there. It's an interesting skill though. Like you probably know by now if you're still watching this video, and it's still pretty new to the cubic things. Can't wait to try them out when they do get introduced into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links officially. And yeah, still neat skill right here. You get to summon 1 of your cubic monsters for free. Last but not least, we're going to talk about the last Darkside Dimension skill, Special Dimension Summon of the Cubic Monster. You can send 1 cubic monster you control from your field to the graveyard, summon 1 cubic monster from your hand, which level is 1 higher than the previous monster. The attack of that monster becomes times 500. You only can use the skill once per turn and twice per duel. So one thing to keep in mind too is that the skill doesn't have that handicap. You can use this with a cubic deck along with other monsters in your cubic deck, which is very cool. And yeah, you can send a cubic monster from your field to the graveyard to summon another cubic monster from your hand, which is a level 1 higher than previous monster, so you can kind of do some stacking up shenanigans, probably be able to trigger some certain combos with cubics, etc, etc. So I say it's an alright skill. I think some of the other skills we did talk about in today's video are definitely much better than this one, but it's a neat skill. It's neat. So the next thing we're going to be talking about right here is some brand new Turbo Duel skills that we're most likely going to be able to use in the upcoming Turbo Duel PvP event they're going to be beginning later this month in October. And there's 2 different ones. We have Speed Spell Trickster and Speed Spell Power Force. These are going to be 2 different ones they're going to be able to use most likely, and I'm looking forward to trying these out. So let me show you guys what these Turbo Duel skills do. So if you didn't play any of the Turbo Duel NPC events in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, basically how it works is that the entire, like, not field, but basically your skill is replaced with the speed spell, you know, skill, and both players have different speed counters that they can use. Once you gain speed counters by, you know, going through turns, summoning monsters, and synchro summoning monsters, you're going to be able to accumulate a bunch of speed counters and then use these effects appropriately. Most likely this set of skills that I have on the screen right now is going to be related to the Speed Spell Trickster, and these are all the Speed Spell Trickster on different abilities that you can use after accumulating some speed counters throughout the duel. First things first, we have use 3 speed counters. You can increase the level of 1 of your monsters by 1, so you can utilize this effect to go into some certain synchro summons. Use 6 speed counters to summon of a level 4 or lower monster from your hand, so you just get to summon a monster for free. Go for either a tribute summon or a synchro summon or whatever you want to do. Next one is that if you have 8 speed counters, you can make 1 of your normal monster a tuner until it's face up on the field. Very weird translation, but basically if you have a normal monster on the field, you can make it a tuner until the end of the turn, which is pretty cool right here. So that's kind of neat. Or actually, no, I bet what this means actually is that you can make a normal monster a tuner until it goes to the graveyard. Once it's a graveyard, once it goes into your graveyard or whatever, then it doesn't become a tuner anymore, which would actually make sense right there. And also, you can use it as Geminis, which is very cool. So that's nice because Geminis are counted as normal monsters while they're face up on the field or in the graveyard, which you're going to be using this while your monster's on the field until you summon the Gemini. Then it becomes a effect monster. Last but not least, if you have 10 speed counters, you actually get to draw 2 cards, which is very cool. So that's one of the brand new Turbo Duel skills that we're most likely to be able to use in the PvP event. And the last one, Power Force, is also very cool. So with Power Force, it's a very aggressive, you know, speed spell sort of skill right here. And if you accumulate 6 speed counters, you can increase the attack of all your monsters by 400 till the end of the turn. So kind of like a beat down in a sense. If you use 8 speed counters, you get to draw 1 card. If you use 10 speed counters, you can increase the attack of all your monsters by 1,000 until the end of the turn. I almost said 100. That would make a little moment, but no, by 1,000 till the end of the turn. Last but not least, you can use 12 speed counters and double all your synchro monsters' attacks till the end of the turn. That would be super satisfying to have like a red dragon archery in the field, Stardust dragon on the field, and use your total speed counters to double the attack of those monsters to win a duel like that. That would be for a sick video, and this is kind of making me really excited for the upcoming Turbo Duel event that we're going to be getting at Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links later in October. That's like the only event that's appealing to me because it's the only new event that we're getting or the only legit brand new event for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Most of the other events in this month are all kind of like repeat events and whatnot, so very cool right there. And then the final thing that we're going to talk about in today's video is talking about Darkside Rex Goodwin, and literally all we have for Darkside Rex Goodwin is the fact that his character ID got added into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. There is no release date for the character. It's probably going to be a couple months until we get Rex Goodwin as a Darksider in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, like whenever. Like, it's just up in the air. All it is that his character ID is in the game, but of course this is an indicator that Konami has been thinking about adding Rex Goodwin into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Now, I would have loved if Misty Treadwell was also added as a character ID, because as most of my subscribers know, my favorite waifu of all time is Misty Treadwell. I want her to get added into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, and the fact that Rex Goodwin is like a character ID for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links is kind of making me spooked, because like the chances of adding Misty Treadwell to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links is still super low as it is, but it feels like the percentage is even getting lower than it already is, because Rex Goodwin was kind of like the final Darksider in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's anime and whatnot, so the fact that they're adding him as a character at some point in the future makes me a little bit spooked, not gonna lie. But until Misty's Earthbound Immortal gets added through a box or whatever, I'm gonna not lose hope. I want to unlock Misty's Earthbound Immortal through her character unlock and whatnot, so we'll see how that goes and everything like that. But since we are on the topic of Rex Goodwin, for fun, let's go talk about his Earthbound Immortal that we're going to be getting in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, because, you know, they give us the signature Ace Monster Earthbound Immortal, like when we got Callan, we got Earthbound Immortal Pocket Poo, and then we got Carly's Earthbound, like Alyssa Poo or something. I don't know how to read. I can't read for the life of me, but we got their Earthbound Immortal. So if we add Rex into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, we get this one right here, which, yeah, it's just a big Earthbound Immortal right there. Anyways, though, so this is a, dark 10-star Wing Beast effect monster. It only can be one Earthbound Immortal on the field. If there is no face-up field spell card on the field, destroy this card. Your opponent cannot target this card for attacks. This card can attack your opponent directly. This card's normal. Summon target of the 3 cards you control, except this card, shuffle them into your deck, then discard as many random cards possible from your opponent's hand, but not more than the number returned. And if you do, this card gains 1,000 attack for each card discarded by this effect. So there you go right there. Definitely different from the anime, that's for sure. I know the anime version of this one was like ridiculously broken. This one's kind of like, whatever. It's gonna be cool though, and that's probably another reason why they're more willing to add Darkside Rex Goodwin to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, because his Earthbound Immortal is not that broken at all. So there's that right there. Well, that's gonna be it for today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links leak video. If you watched to the end of the video and you haven't already, be sure to go smash the like button on the video down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links content. And yeah, I think it's gonna be it for me. Seriously, thank you so much for watching today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video, and I'll go see you guys in the next one. Peace out.